Ranked unranked matchup in the Big Ten on deck in college football with the Buckeyes taking on Illinois. And when teams play Ohio State, they just cannot seem to get any points on the board, or very few, I should say. So we're looking at the Buckeyes opponents from this season and the scoring difference from when those teams play Ohio State against everybody else. So the most points that the Buckeyes have led up all season, that is 9. So they're averaging just 5 points, giving up 5 points per game. Congratulations, Ohio University. You put up 9 points on Ohio State this season, which is kind of a feat if we're looking at the graphic, right? Let's welcome in our guys, Patterson and Shehan Jeyarajah. Great to see you guys. Ohio State's defense has been pretty dominant. We just saw it laid out there. But Illinois, their offense is certainly a tougher test than, say, a Minnesota or a Washington. So, Chip, just how much of a challenge is this going to be for the Ohio State Buckeyes defense?
Well, Jacqueline, it is going to be the toughest yet, but I think that one of the reasons why Ohio State, for my money, as much as we're excited about an Oregon or a Miami, I still think Ohio State's the best team in the country, and it's because the Silver Bullets. This defense is elite because it not only has some of the blue chips like a Caleb Downs, a surefire NFL player, but it's also been the player development that we have seen along the way, and that to me really stands out with Caden Curry, somebody who's been a little bit of a program guy and now has finally gotten that green light go with all the NFL draft picks that are gone, and he has answered the call and been totally dominant. He's great in run support. He's great at getting after the quarterback. Guys like Caden Curry, Averill Reese, who've sort of stepped up, join the likes of a Sonny Styles or a Caleb Downs. This, to me, is an identity thing. This is a program thing. We can credit Matt Patricia, and yes, he deserves some of that credit as well, but top to bottom under Ryan Day, what we've seen this year and in the last couple of years is that this Ohio State team can win championships because of its defense.
Yeah, and I point to that depth that Chip mentioned. I mean, they just have guys at every single position. They've got more guys behind them at every single position. This is a rarity, frankly, in this modern era of college football. You see so many of the other top contenders in the country, when some of their top guys go down, there's nobody else behind them. But I think that their ability to attack from every corner of the field has been critical during this easy run. And yeah, not the most crazy of offenses during the easy stretch, but I thought that what they did against Washington in the second half really impressed me. Washington was able to move the ball a little bit in the first half of that game, and then you see that defense really settle in and hold them scoreless in the second half. So it's a very fearsome unit. I think that Matt Patricia has been a revelation, which is not something that I expected when he took that job, and this Ohio State defense is absolutely championship caliber.
Let's get to the offense because, of course, in the offseason, going into the season, we knew Jeremiah Smith, the talent that he is, that he continues to be, Heisman buzz, all the things. But, Chip, maybe we should kind of start zooming out a little bit and looking at the supporting cast as well, really starting to step up.
Yeah, that's the thing is if you go into the biggest games of the season, which I do think starts here with Illinois, and if you go into the idea of Ohio State playing for the national championship in the college football playoff, you're not going to be able to be so reliant on Jeremiah Smith. And that's where, as we're building out this Ohio State season, what we've seen with the supporting cast step up, I think is incredibly encouraging. Carnell Tate coming off a very good performance against Minnesota. Max Klare, you know, the tight end transfer is really starting to settle in and get on the same page with Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin, continuing to get more put on his plate and just eating it all up all along the way. And then you throw in a running back by committee where, honestly, I thought that we were going to see C.J. Donaldson be the primary back. Bo Jackson has actually stepped up and really taken over that role while Donaldson is still in there as well. The fact that they've got so many different options beyond Jeremiah Smith who can all find ways to hurt you, that means the defense can't key in on one of the best offensive players in the entire country. That's going to make things so much easier for Ohio State when a team, maybe like Illinois, forces them to really go deep and really go pedal to the metal on offense.
And let's think back to that college football playoff run last year. Yeah, the first 2 games Jeremiah Smith took over, he was pretty secondary in those second 2 games. Obviously, only 1 catch for 4 yards against Texas, but it changes the calculus of how Ohio State plays offense when teams have to blanket Jeremiah Smith the way that he did. I mean, you look at the stats right now, Carnell Tate is right up there with Jeremiah Smith in terms of numbers, but I actually think that it's been the varied running game that's actually been maybe the most impressive thing. Last year, you have 2,000-yard rushers in Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Well, it's been that way with Bo Jackson, with James Peoples, with CJ Donaldson. They've really come at you in different ways. They've got guys who can go outside. They've got guys who can go up the middle. They've really diversified that running game. That was something that Chip Kelly last year brought in, and it's continued, even though he's gone back to the NFL. So this is a team, again, on offense that can beat you in so many different ways. And probably the scariest thing about this offense is I don't think we've even really seen them try to unlock the passing game to this point. They've made the game very easy for Julian Sayin. I think there's a whole nother level left inside of him.
Oof, a whole nother level for the top-ranked team in the country. That is pretty scary. Shehan, if we're talking about impact players to watch for Ohio State, there's a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, but who are you going to be honing in on for this matchup against Illinois?
Well, Chip mentioned him off the top. Caden Curry, the defensive end. This is not somebody who came in as a top 5 player like so many of the guys who were on that defense last year. This is a player who's stuck in the program, developed. I believe he's a 4th-year player in this program. And finally, against Washington, he has his breakout opportunity. 3 sacks in that game. Huge, huge, huge performance. And he's just somebody that defenses are starting to have to account for more. He already has 5 sacks this season, sacks in 3 different games in the middle of the year. And I think that when you look at the way that they structured this defense, when you've got a guy who's relentless, who's as much of a technician, who wins at the point of attack the way that Caden Curry has these past few weeks, again, it changes the way that you have to block this defensive line.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it a little basic here, Jacqueline, if that's okay. I'm going to turn our attention to the quarterback. How about Julian Sayin? Because for my money, he's coming into this matchup against Illinois off his best performance as an Ohio State starter. He goes 23 for 27 against Minnesota, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, going about 12.1 yards per attempt at 328. I look at the way that things have been put on his plate. Again, it's like, oh, throw an easy crosser route to Jeremiah Smith, Carnell, Tate, but the level of difficulty just gets a little bit more and a little bit more, and now he's going up against an Illinois secondary that is a little bit healthier than it was a couple weeks ago when we had them spotlighted against USC, but it is still a group that has been giving up a lot through the air, and so I think that there are going to be a lot of opportunities for Julian Sayin to continue to get confidence. He's playing on the road, and he is playing against a defensive front in Illinois that can get after the passer, but again, because of the weaknesses in the secondary, there's a great opportunity for this to be a big building block for him as he continues to step into that QB1 role.
So, Chip, I want to double down on the Illinois secondary of it all, right? Because to your point, they have been a little bit of a concern, letting up a lot. How much are they going to be tested against this receiver room that Ohio State has?
Oh, massively. Some really, really tough decisions. You know, there was, as Aaron Henry, took over as defensive coordinator, an instinct to maybe keep up some of the man-to-man based schemes that they had. But number one, I don't think that they've got the dudes right now for it. We've seen a little bit more zone, a little bit more rally to the football. And number two, you're just not going to be able to do that against Jeremiah Smith, against Carnell Tate, and against the rest of these Ohio State passing options. I mean, this is going to be something where it has to be, and then coach's favorite phrase here, complementary football. That means that Illinois' pass rushers have to be able to speed up Julian Sayin's clock, because if he has time to dissect the defense, I do not trust Illinois' secondary to be able to hold up for long in coverage. So this has to be an entire front-to-back working together scheme for the Illinois defense, because I think Illinois' secondary can hold up for a little bit, but man, they're not going to be able to do it for long given the skill talent of these Ohio State receivers.
If we look at Illinois' offense and their offensive identity and how much pressure it kind of puts on Luke Altmire at times to make plays, Shehan, do you think that's going to be emphasized even more so against this Ohio State defense?
I think so, because if you're Illinois, you have to be diversified. And when we think of Brett Bielema teams, we think of big, physical offensive linemen. We think of running the ball at a high level, and this Illinois team has done it. But Luke Altmire has been a revelation since he came over from Ole Miss. He has spread the field in a big way. And by the way, this is an offense that lost multiple receivers to the NFL last season. But you see through the first couple of games, 10 touchdowns, only 1 interception for Luke Altmire. He's able to do a little something with his legs as well. And I think that against this Ohio State defense, he's going to be asked to extend plays just a little bit more than against some of his previous opponents. He's somebody who's very comfortable throwing on the run. He's someone who's very comfortable going down the field. And against this Ohio State unit, there's not going to be a lot available for this Illinois team, and certainly you don't expect that they're going to be able to bully this Ohio State defensive front. Altmire's going to be huge if they're going to have a chance to pull the upset in this game.
When it comes to impact players to watch for Illinois, both of you guys are on the same page here. You're looking at Hank Beatty as the impact player to watch. We saw the Altmire-Beatty connection for that 62-yard touchdown against Purdue. So, Chip, how much more of that do you need to see from him, if possible?
Well, Jacqueline, if I got some time here, if Hank Beatty ain't the all-purpose player on our midseason All-America team, I'm going to call for a recount. Because this is a guy who's top 10 in receiving yards with 569. This is a guy who's top 10 in punt return yards with 170. This is literally not only the go-to option for Luke Altmire, but one of the most important players for this Illinois offense in terms of field position and the way that they can set themselves up for success, given some of the concerns on the Illinois defensive side. I just think that Hank Beatty has been extremely overlooked as a valuable piece in the Big Ten. And I know that we all got our ballot, Shehan, but I know who's on my AP. I'll tell the world about it. It's Hank Beatty, my all-purpose number one.
Yes, we are here at your Hank Beatty TED Talk, Chip. All right, it is game prediction time. Ohio State, double-digit favorites. Shehan, kick us off. Who do you think wins?
Yeah, this is a big opportunity for Ohio State, I think, to reestablish themselves. Obviously, they win that opener against Texas with relative ease, and I think that this Illinois game is going to look a lot like it as well. I do actually think that we're going to have to see Ohio State open up the playbook on offense a little bit more against this Illinois team. One, because of, I think, the way that this defense is structured. They're weaker right now at defensive back because of some of their injuries, but also I think that Illinois is going to throw a lot at them as well. So I think that Ohio State ultimately pulls away. I think they cover the line. I think it's a double-digit victory, but I expect that they're going to have to put a little more effort than we've seen these first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Shehan. I don't think it's sleepy. I've got Ohio State 35, Illinois 24, slightly over the total. Maybe Illinois can creep inside that spread right now as it sits. I do think Illinois, because of Luke Altmire's excellence, will be able to score over the course of 4 quarters. It just might not all be early. And yes, I do think Ohio State is not going to be able to sit on the rock quite like they did against Washington. So 35-24 Buckeyes.
All right, the guys are in agreement. Ohio State comes out on top. Chip, Shehan, hang tight. We have more to come from the fellas. But hey, in the meantime, you can hear more of Chip over on the Cover 3 podcast. The guys always breaking down the biggest games, biggest storylines for each week in college football. You can watch right now by scanning that QR code on your screen.